Hi, everyone, and welcome to Beyond Care, where we shine a light on the people, programs, and ideas that are shaping the future of caregiving. I'm your host, Annika Dhariwal, co-founder of Land Care. In senior living and home care today, organizations are facing two critical challenges: maintaining high quality care and retaining the people who deliver that care every day. While processes, training, and technology all play a role, one factor that often determines whether an organization truly thrives is their culture. Culture shapes how teams communicate, how caregivers feel about their work, and ultimately how residents and clients experience care. My guest today has spent more than 2 decades in the long term care industry, building organizations where culture is not just talked about, but is actively designed and lived every day. Joining us today is Heather Kesler, co founder and CEO of 1019 Senior Living. Heather brings deep expertise in leadership, team alignment, and operational excellence with a strong focus on creating environments where both staff and residents can thrive. Heather, welcome to Beyond Care. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I'm excited to be here today.
So, to start, I'd like to ask when we talk about a culture-driven senior living organization, what does that really mean in practice beyond just certain values on paper?
I think, well, what it means to us at 1019, culture driven, we base everything that we do off of our residents, being present with our residents and our team members. So most senior living communities that you walk into, they have a feel about them, right? You can walk in and a building will feel cold or it will feel warm or dysfunctional. So when you're looking at driving culture or building culture, that's one of the big markers. Um, when you walk into a building, when you walk into one of our buildings, you can feel the warmth.
Mhm.
And that's based off of the interactions with residents. That's the team members. It's a whole big puzzle that you put together that makes it feel warm.
And what would you say are some of the biggest cultural gaps that you've seen that impact both care quality and staff retention?
James and I, my husband and co-founder,
Mhm.
every Wednesday we do a meeting with all of our new team members. So we do a Zoom call where we actually meet people um, and are able to go over what those values are and what our values are, and we get to know each team member. Um, One of the biggest questions that I get asked, or what well, let me rephrase this. So I ask all team members a
Mhm.
question, what do you need from us? And one of the biggest things that we hear week after week after week is communication. So people coming to our organization from other organizations, you know, that's 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 the gap right there. Is there's so much going on, and as an industry, we have not done a really good job at communicating, right? Because we've got a lot of different things going on. So that's what I see team members needing the most is communication. So figuring out systems that promote communication, not just on the basic policy level, but we deal with um, residents and their daily lives, right?
Mhm.
So it's beyond policy. It's being human. It's we're providing a very intimate service, right? I believe that all care happens within a relationship. So we're constantly building relationships. And then how do you communicate um, the key factors of those relationships, right? So that's what we see most is people need communication. And in each one of our senior living communities, that communication looks a little bit different.
Mhm.
And that's based off of the leadership that's present at the building level. Um, what their style is, what their main form of communication is, and then who they've surrounded themselves with um, to build that team.
And then sort of just building upon that, in terms of like communication and team alignment,
Mhm.
how do you sort of, I guess, just further like ensure that everyone from leadership to frontline caregivers are sort of aligned around the same mission and standards? Obviously, like the Zoom, that sounds very nice. I feel like a lot of organizations should probably like implement that and don't really have something so often. Because
Mhm.
when I was at the HCAOA like conference,
Mhm.
teams were talking about how they'll maybe get together just once a month, like for the end of month review. But I think in this industry where there's so much daily sort of stress and communication with your client, you need to have like a better touch point with leadership, I guess, almost.
Right. So our weekly call that we're on, that's with all new onboarding team
Right.
members, right? One of the things that um, we have some core standards for communication.
Okay.
So these are non-negotiable. They look different in each building, but um, the leadership does a all-inclusive uh, like a daily stand-up, for lack of better
Right.
term. Like, but we put a unique spin on it. Every single person that is in the building at that time, aside from the people, if somebody needs to stay on a unit, right? We leave one team member on a unit. But other than that, everybody comes together and we go through, people are prompted and they talk about, what's going on, things that they're noticing with their residents, right? And that's
Mhm.
from, you have your maintenance, your housekeeping staff, you have your dietary staff, um, you have your caregiving staff, and everybody's input, right? Everybody's voice is heard at that moment because the housekeeper may see something that the nurse didn't see.
Right.
So that's something that James and I, we're both licensed administrators, right? So we've grown up in the environment, and um, one of the things that we know is super important is providing a platform for people to be heard. The majority of people that work in senior care have a heart for seniors, right?
Hmm.
What happens in some communities is the people who are closest to the residents don't have an opportunity to be heard, and that can create some pretty bad outcomes. So that's one of the minimum standards that we have for communication. And uh, like I said, in each building, it looks a little bit different because
Hmm.
each leader runs those meetings just a little bit. But at the very base level of that, it's promoted for every single team member that's on shift to be able to communicate. So,
And sort of just changing course a bit towards retention, which
mhm,
I would say is one of probably the biggest challenges in the
mhm.
industry right now. How does a strong culture directly impact caregiver satisfaction and retention?
I think it's probably one of the biggest key factors in retention, right? So we spend more time with the people that we work with than most of the time than we do with our own family.
Yeah.
Uh, the Nobody wants to work in an environment um, that is dysfunctional, that is, for lack of better terms, hostile, because some
Hmm.
environments can be pretty mean, right?
Yeah.
So when you're building that culture. My husband was actually, before he became a licensed administrator, he was a professional entertainer. He was a magician, right? And so all the years of him entertaining, when you would ask him, what do you want to do when you retire? He was like, I want to go work on the circus, right?
Hmm.
And I'm like, James, I am not living in a circus car. How this is going to go, right? But when he would say that, you'd say, okay, why do you want to go perform at the circus? He said, because have you ever seen anybody upset at a circus? Everybody's happy,
Mhm.
right? So with culture and with us, with James and I, we truly believe right now we're living our retirement because we get to go in environments and make people happy all the time. And that's the culture that we want in our buildings, right? Everybody who chooses to um, come be a part of 1019, they're making an active choice. They're making an active choice to share our vision and come and enjoy the days with the residents. We talk about making moments matter, right? We deal a lot with residents with memory loss, and the moment, um, the moments make a difference, right? So we make moments matter with our residents, and that can be, you know, um, walking somebody down the hall, right? And that just that interaction, right?
Mhm.
That 30-second interaction matters. With a resident with dementia, they may lose that a minute after that, but
Yeah.
being in that moment matters, right? So we do that our with our residents, but we also do that with our team members. Um, in today's fast-paced world, the other thing that really gets lost is, that relationship building.
Hmm.
Um, People want to be a part of something and they want to be seen and they want to be heard. Um, it's very unusual for James and I to go into any of our communities and not know our team members, right? And in fact, that really doesn't happen. And I typically, when we onboard new communities,
Hmm.
James and I will sit and meet with every single new team member that we bring on. So if they have 50 team members, we spend however many days
Wow.
meeting individually with each team member. And that's not to understand their work, that's to understand them as a person and for them to get to know us as a person because that relationship truly does matter. It's more everybody needs you know, a good pay, right? You have bills,
Yeah.
you have to make your cost of living, but all the other things that go into that each day, um, we want people to be happy where they're at.
Wow, that's amazing. I think that like personal element is so important, sort of creating relationships with which again it sounds like it could be so simple to just go like talk to people working in your team and to get to know them, but I think again that's something that a lot of people look past and don't really do.
Right.
And sort of to end, for any leaders listening today, what are some practical steps that they can take to start building or strengthening a culture-driven organization? Obviously, one being, as we just discussed, building strong personal relationships with sort of employees and colleagues. What is there anything else that you would suggest for people?
I would I would say seek first to understand. So when
Hmm.
you're getting to know somebody, um, ask the questions, make it personal, make the connection. And then when uh, somebody is having issues, that, okay, they got three kids at home and they have no support system. So what else is
Hmm.
going on? Or when somebody's behavior changes and they're normally not like that, you have a good enough relationship to say, hey, 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 what, I see you're struggling here. What's going on? How can we help? Um, a lot of times in today's environment, I think that's the big piece that people miss is they don't seek first to understand what's going on and just ask the questions.
Got it. Thank you so much, Heather, for sharing your experience and insights today. I think what stands out a lot from this conversation is that culture isn't something that's nice to have. It's a foundational driver of both care quality and organizational success. To our listeners, if today's conversation gave you new ideas about building a stronger, more aligned care organization, please share this episode with another leader or caregiver who could benefit from it. And don't forget to follow Beyond Care for more conversations to elevate and support the caregiving community. Thank you.